I'll record it as well. Chapter 2, basically, many of the points over here you probably have learned before, but we will discuss in much more detail. Okay. 2.1 starts with the same typical thing. It's about the transmission media, which basically means what are the different mediums that are used for communication within a local area network, within a WAN, whatever sort of network that you may set up. First of all, you should know is that whenever we talk about um, networks, we would refer to more of the topologies. Okay, when we talk of topologies, we refer to different topologies, such as we talk about bus network topology, we talk about line network topology, we refer to the star topology, one of the most common topology that we have. Okay, so these are the most common one. You have hybrid, you have is a tree, mesh, lots of others, but these are the most common. Now, why am I starting with this? Because obviously we are talking about transmission media, how these topologies will be set up using what different medium of transmission. So cable is one of the very basic one. I mean, I will not say not the very basic one. The very basic one are your twisted pair cables. Your twisted pair cables are the oldest, the cheapest one. If you look at the cost of twisted pair cable, they have the lowest price. Okay, obviously because of that, your bandwidth of twisted pair cable is the lowest. Why is the bandwidth low? Because obviously the attenuation at high frequency is affected. Attenuation means that how much data needs to be repeated, how much does it get disintegrated after a while. So you have to use repeaters to enhance the signals. Now, why do you have this? Because obviously you don't have a proper insulation. Now, because of no proper insulation between these wires, your interference is affected a lot. So it's the worst affected. So do you need for repeaters? Yes, you need a lot of repeaters for that. So in one way, if you're not spending much on the cost in case of twisted pair cables, you have to compromise in many other places. This is why over the period of time, twisted pair cables have not been used most commonly. Yeah, in very small networks, if someone wants to set up a small network within a small room and attach 4 to 5 computers, fine. But then again, you have a better option. Your cable TV right now that you use at home, your cable internet that you use right now, is using coaxial wires which look like this. The reason why coaxial wires tend to be a better option than twisted pair cable is because they have a better insulation. Not only that, you have a much more robust plastic jacket which can last for a longer time. You then have is a metal shield. Then you have is an insulator, and then you have is the main central core, which is made up of copper. So if you look at this, so obviously you have a lot better insulation, due to which you will see is that as far as your interference is concerned, in case of coaxial wire, is less affected as compared to twisted pair cable. Your attenuation is most affected. It is, again, is a problem in coaxial wire. Your frequency signals do deteriorate a lot in coaxial wires again. That's a problem. Okay, but this problem has only been resolved through fiber optic. We'll just discuss that. So cost is higher. Frankly, I'll not say it's higher than twisted pair cable, but it's not very expensive now. Now, as far as the discussion of coaxial wire is concerned, frankly, there are numerous coaxial wires. There are lots of variety in the market. So we can't talk specifically about one. Okay. And let's talk about fiber optic. Well, fiber optic, obviously, you do know how does fiber optic work. Uh, Basically, you have is a glass inside a wire. Okay. And so light basically reflects. Okay, and because of this reflection, it keeps on traveling, and obviously the speed of light is very fast, due to which fiber optic has a very good bandwidth. It has much higher bandwidth. Cost is very high, obviously. I would add something to it as well. The technical expertise that are required to maintain, that are required to install fiber optic are also high as well. Overall cost. Attenuation obviously is reduced because you don't need a lot of repeaters. You need less often. You need repeaters to repeat the signals. Interference is less affected. Attenuation is less affected, obviously, and you can even not bend it a lot, but you can still bend it even in 90 degrees, and still your data will keep on transmitting. Okay, it's something revolutionary. Though obviously, if we talk about how many connections can we provide through fiber optic, with one fiber optic we can provide connections to um, hundreds and thousands of even to around 2,000 connections to households with one wire. So overall, if you have a discussion about if you want to evaluate a fiber optic with coaxial, if a question comes, obviously within the valuation I would mention the overall cost will be lower in fiber optic if we compare, because one fiber optic is equal to hundreds of coaxial wires. So overall cost obviously gets reduced to a lot of extent. So this is basically the first thing. If we start talking about wireless technologies, there have been various wireless technologies that have been invented, and they have been used. They have been using electromagnetic radiations, microwave, infrared, Bluetooth. Okay, they have been used at different instances for different reasons. But if you start comparing radio waves and microwaves and infrared, you should be able to compare them in case of evaluation. Okay, whenever a question of evaluation comes, let's say, you need to discuss the advantage and disadvantages in simple words. If you talk about the bandwidth, obviously the bandwidth of infrared is the highest one. Then you have microwaves and you have radio waves. Attenuation, obviously, in this case, it increases. This means radio waves have the minimum attenuation. Let's say we're talking about mainly due to rain. So radio waves will not be affected much. Microwaves more. Infrared, obviously, a lot more. In fact, radio infrareds will not be able to travel much. They need straight line of path, that you know. Infrared you have in your remote controls, you know that. Okay, right. Directional focusing capacity, radio have good, then you have microwaves, and infrared have the least, which means directional focus capacity means the object that you're trying to focus should be directly be on the path, only then it will work properly. Penetration through wall. Okay, now if you talk about that, your radio waves, okay, will be able to penetrate to the walls. Infrared will not. Infrared will not be able to penetrate, right? So this is basically a comparison between all of them. We are not talking about Wi-Fi over here right now. That will be a different discussion. Now, comparing cable and wire transmission. Well, let's talk about this. First of all, as far as wireless transmission is concerned, your different government regulations are there. You just cannot transmit radio signals and start up your own channel. No way. You have to ask the government. You have to take permissions. Okay, so in case of wireless transmission, every bank or every corporate who sets up a metropolitan area network, MAN, if they have to take permission from the government and agencies that we are going to do this, because obviously there are so that there is no interference with army signals or whatever. So we don't want to do that. So it is regulated by the government. So you have to be very careful about that. You can't, not everyone can do it. Comparing to cables, obviously cable you don't need to take permissions, and it can be set up anywhere you want to. For global communications, if you're talking about, obviously both can be used. Optical fibers usually are laid under seabed. At the same time, you can use satellite transmissions as well. You might have heard fiber optic cable under the sea, Indian Ocean mein kharab ho gayi. Why? Obviously, we are using fiber optic for that, over there particularly. Now the question is, why do we still have to use fiber optic if we have satellite transmission? Can someone answer me that? That if we have satellite transmission, okay, we have lots of satellites, so then why still do we need fiber optics for undersea? They have to be laid for countries to communicate. What do you think? So the reason would be for that. Anyone who takes physics should know the answer. Initially, think over it. You got my question, all of you? Did you get my question?
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think? Why do you think so? Still, we do need to have fiber optic laid under sea, when obviously we do have satellites. We can use them, microwaves.
So buildings के ऊपर जो receivers लगे होते हैं, it might cause disruptions.
Exactly. Very good. The first thing is interference. Interference can cause an issue. That's the first point. And what else? And
We
other
need returns maybe quite often.
because of clouds, because of other reasons, mountains. There again there could be an issue. Basically, clouds के issue आ सकता है. And one of the most important thing is that fiber optic can give connection to hundreds and thousands and millions of connections in just multiple fiber optics. So that is the biggest advantage. And there is no loss of signals in case of fiber optic. The latest fiber optic that you have minimum loss. So even in satellites, you will need to have is low noise block converters. LNBs will be used in dish antennas, where all the signals that have gotten weak while traveling the atmosphere for such a long distance, these signals have to be upgraded. So you need to use devices for that. That's an expensive process. So that's one of the reasons why. So satellites are not cheap. Satellites are expensive as compared to fiber optic. That is another reason we would prefer using fiber optic for that particular case. Right? Now, mobile phone cells. Now I want to discuss this mobile cells phones. Now, the reason why we call mobile phones cellular technology is because you have studied even in O levels that you have cells. These towers that we see of Zong and Warid, they are cells. So if you look at them from the space above, they're just like a beehive. These cells are attached to each other, so data will be transmitted uh, through these cells. Let me explain this with a different example. For example, do I have a photo over here? I don't have it here, but let me do it. Just give me once. But the time it will take for this to open up. You know what is an ISP, all of you? That one, then I'll draw multiple cells and I'll explain you how this basically works. So they actually, in this way, I will not be able to arrange them exactly in a sophisticated manner, but that's the way they actually are arranged. I'll just leave it somehow like this. Here you go. And so you get the idea. They'll all be connected to each other. So this one tower, they are basically around kilometers away. This tower and this tower, the center point of this center point of this are 2 kilometers away. This is 2 kilometers away, and this is 2 kilometers away. So they're all connected like this. The advantage of this basically is that if one of the tower, let's say this one's not working, no problem, your data can be transmitted this way or this way or this way. Or if there's a lot of load over here, no problem, your data will come from here or from here or from here or somewhere else. So this all happened due to a very good technology that was developed basically in the second generation phones, not in the one generation phone. If we talk first generation phones, in the first generation phones, in addition network, I would say, we had different modes of communication. Circuit switching meant that, for example, I have to call someone. Let's go with copper wires, and through copper wires, through analog signals, which will be through current, Okay, data will basically be transferred in form of electrons, and it will basically go through all these switches. A physical switch will be established, and then I will be able to talk to person B. So this means as long as person A and person B are talking to each other, there is this physical switch that is on, that is connecting people. So the people started using phones. How could we establish physical switches for everyone? If I have, let's say, 1 million people, no, 1 million people, yeah, you will be have 1 million people in Lahore. How would you have 1 million switches, physical switches in Lahore? That would have not been possible. Even if what was possible, you would need a lot of hundred and thousands of physical wires which will be laid going here and there. Who would find the error? Anyway, this was not to happen. This is what led to a very good advancement in the communication, which was the packet switching. What was packet switching? Packet switching basically came into existence because of TCP/IP. I have to relate all this to explain you, otherwise you will not get it. I want to discuss everything in detail. What was TCP/IP? TCP/IP was Transmission Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. Now, what are protocols? Now, see, everything is related. I have to talk about it. Protocol basically means these are the different modes through which communication takes place. These are the set of rules through which communication takes place. These are the handshaking rules through which devices start communication, which means we have to set rules that, okay, fine, we are going to start the communication. So devices will talk to devices, computers will talk to computers, and then communication starts. Now, before you send the packets, okay, now what happened in second generation phone, in the second generation phones, in your third generation phones, in your fourth generation phones, what's happening now is all your data is being transferred through packets. Now, your packet basically are what? Your packet basically consists of a byte. Let's take them as 1 byte, and you do know that 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. I wrote 9, sorry, 8 bits. So fine. With this means what? This means that in packet switching, what happened was, with the help of TCP, our packet was cut down into 8 packets. So let's say if I have a packet 4 MB, what would happen is the TCP would cut down my packet into 8 packets. Now, why is that important? I'll tell you why is it important. Now, the advantage of this is that if my packet has been cut down into 8 different packets, one of my packet will go from here, then here. Okay. I'm sorry for such a nasty diagram. I could not waste time and draw a very sophisticated one. Okay, I'll just add more to it so that we can discuss this. So what will happen is my one of the packet goes from here. It takes this route and reaches, this is my computer A, and this is my computer B. So eventually it follows this path, reaches here. Third packet follows this path, reaches here, and this path, then this path. You would have lots of cells. That so advantage of data was being cut down into packets was that, and the receiving computer one will rearrange the same order. That's the point. Who's doing all this? TCP will these packets.
No, sir.
Oh, glad.
No.
Thank you. Normal. After 10-15 minutes, I realized I was talking to myself. Right. So TCP will do what? Remember the points. अगर points आपके ज़हन में होंगे
वो तो मुझे उसकी एग्जांपल भी आ गई है दिमाग में।
ठीक है
मुझे फर्स्ट जनरेशन फोन
फर्स्ट बात अब अभी भी ब्लैक दो हैं ओके दिस ब्लैक वायर एक कॉपर एक बहुत टफ सी कॉपर वायर होती है फर्स्ट जनरेशन फोन में when you had to call someone it was a physical connection was established in अच्छा मैं आपको और एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ. डू यू नो व्हाट अ लाइट एमिटिंग डायोड इज? एक छोटा सा बल्ब होता है, उसको हम डायोड कहते हैं. ठीक है. सो अगर आप, आई वुड नॉट आस्क यू टू डू द फॉलोइंग एक्सपेरिमेंट. ओके, डोंट से साइम कह रहे थे. ओके, डोंट डू दिस एट होम. अगर आप डायोड लेके जो जो फोन की जो वायर है ना उस पर लगाओगे ना, तो डायोड ऑन हो जाएगा, क्योंकि उसमें करंट आ रहा होता है. उसमें 3 to 4 वोल्ट्स का करंट आ रहा होता है. सो व्हेन वी डायल अप समवन, जो फोन आता था ना, व्हेन समवन वाज कॉलिंग अस, दैट 4 वोल्ट वेंट इनटू 12 वोल्ट्स. ठीक है. सो मतलब ये है कि कॉन्स्टेंटली, अच्छा जो करंट होता है उसकी फॉर्म क्या है? व्हाट इज करंट? करंट इज एनालॉग. डू यू नो दैट? It's considered as analog in computers. So, one generation phones made the communication took place with the help of current. So, in copper's wire ke through, we used to communicate. A physical connection was established between the other person. Okay, अगर अगर ये वायर कहीं ना कहीं से टूट जाती थी, we could not communicate, क्योंकि फिजिकली मैंने एक कनेक्शन स्टैब्लिश किया हुआ है. और ये बहुत बड़ी बात थी. देखो, हंड्रेड्स ऑफ किलोमीटर दूर कोई बैठा हुआ है, और आई हैव एस्टैब्लिश्ड अ फिजिकल वायर इज ट्रांसमिटिंग माय डेटा. बात तो बहुत बड़ी थी, मगर इट वाज क्वाइट अ न्यूसेंस, क्योंकि when the number of customers grew to a lot of extent, आप किस तरह इतने हंड्रेड एंड थाउजेंड्स ऑफ फिजिकल वायर्स पूरी सिटी में गुजारोगे? पॉसिबल था? हाँ, पॉसिबल तो था, मगर इट वुड हैव क्रिएटेड सच अ बिग मेस इन द सिटी एंड एवरीवेयर. और ये पॉसिबल नहीं होना था. You cannot establish a physical circuit switch between everyone calling everyone. नहीं. This is why packets had to be introduced. This is why your data packets had to be transmitted through different microwaves and all that. We had to use satellites. We had to use satellites. We had to use radars. So our packets, even packets right now, हमारी अभी जा रहे हैं. When I'm talking to you right now, the packets are in the air. Okay, the packets are in the air right now, but you can't see them obviously. So what I'm saying is, तो आपके जो cells हैं, this is how they help us. Okay, so TCP basically does this. TCP basically has the following properties: that TCP cuts down the packet into 8 packets. TCP will arrange the packets again. अब मैं आपसे भी बात कर रहा हूँ, TCP packets cut down कर रहा है, because TCP is a congestion control mechanism. So what do I mean by congestion control mechanism? Congestion control mechanism का मतलब ये है कि since I've cut down my packets into 8 packets, क्यों किया? क्योंकि if at the other end someone has a low internet speed, तो पैकेट्स का फायदा होगा कि वो गुजर जाएंगे. अगर लेट्स से मैं एक पैकेट को कट डाउन नहीं करता, बाय द वे देयर इज अनदर प्रोटोकॉल व्हिच इज नोन एज यूडीपी. यूडीपी स्टैंड्स फॉर यूजर डेटाग्राम प्रोटोकॉल. ओके, मैं आई विल शेयर माय नोट्स विद यू इन डिटेल में. मैं अपने नोट्स पे उसमें मैंने डिस्कस किया हुआ है. यूजर डेटाग्राम प्रोटोकॉल इज यूज्ड फॉर वीडियो ऑन डिमांड. जब आप ऑनलाइन वीडियो देख रहे होते हो, तो वहां यूडीपी यूज होता है. अब वैसे तो अब इवन नेटफ्लिक्स इज नॉट यूजिंग यूडीपी, क्योंकि यूडीपी के नुकसान ये थे कि आप वीडियो देख रहे हो, एकदम में कैटास्ट्रोफिकली वीडियो बंद हो गई एंड विल स्टार्ट प्लेइंग अगेन. क्यों? क्योंकि जो यूडीपी था ना, इट नेवर यूज्ड टू कट डाउन योर पैकेट्स. इट वुड सेंड द पैकेट एज इट इज. अब प्रॉब्लम क्या थी? when it's sending the packet as it is पूरे का पूरा, if there is some congestion at the other end, it would get stuck. And if it gets stuck, तो वो फिर दोबारा शुरू होता है, शुरू से रीलोड करना, और काम खराब था इसमें.
Yes.
Okay, right? Okay, नीचे बिठा दो. Right? Okay, so this is why TCP came in. TCP is basically a big advantage for our communication. This is why मैंने TCP को मैं आज डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ, because if I would have discussed packets with you, you would not get it. Okay, so it's because of TCP packets became common. So TCP का और फायदा क्या था, मैं आपको बताता हूँ. TCP would do something. TCP would add the sender IP address and the receiver IP address in the header of the you can hear me, right? हमारा सेशन टाइम आउट तो नहीं हुआ? Yeah, you can hear me.
No, we
Okay.
can hear you, sir.
Yeah, address in the header of the packet. अच्छा, अब ये क्या है? Basically क्या TCP क्या करेगा कि TCP will do this, that it will add the IP address just like conventionally. If you send a letter to someone, you will have you'll have it over there, your address and the address where you live. So since you have the address, the postal address, this is what it does. TCP has to tell that, okay, finding the data packet to that particular device computer, and it's coming from where? Who is doing this? TCP is doing this. So TCP adds the IP address to the packet where it's coming from, where it goes. TCP adds a sequence number, and TCP makes sure that they are rearranged when they reach the destination. TCP makes sure that we cut down the packet into 8 packets. And one last thing, TCP will also make sure that if one of the packet is not delivered, it will send it again. मैं आपको इसकी बड़ी अच्छी एग्जांपल देता हूं. You might have noticed this before. Maybe sometime you did download a file, let's say 5 MB की file आपने download की है, whatever, it was a zip file. That particular day maybe your internet was not really fast. उसे download तो कर दिया, मगर during download हम नोट किया को ट्रांसफर कर रहा है, नहीं डाउनलोड हुआ. सेशन टाइम आउट से पहले it tried again, and then it tried. It will not try fourth time. It will try 3 times before the session timeout. Well, what happens is that one of the packet did try to get delivered, but it did not get delivered. When you open the file, what happens is कि 5 MB की, but it says the file is corrupted. How come the file is corrupted? I did download the file because one of the packet was not properly there. That's why it gives you this error. But TCP actually does this. The TCP will try again and again. Okay, let me send the packet. If it's not, but obviously if the internet is not working at the other end, तो TCP क्या कर सकता है? वो तो नहीं send कर सकता ना. वो कोशिश करेगा, end पे वो कहेगा okay fine, I will just assume it that it has been delivered, मगर actually it has not been delivered. वो sequence में add up हो जाता है उसके algorithm में, मगर actually it has not been delivered. That's why you face such kind of. Sorry बेटा.
अब उसके एल्गोरिथम में आधे रहता है,
मतलब उसके अंदर उसको रजिस्टर कर लेता है कि मैंने सेंड कर ली है. देखो, बिकॉज टीसीपी हैज टू फुलफिल इट्स रिक्वायरमेंट्स. अगर टीसीपी ये चीजें नहीं करेगा तो वो काम नहीं करेगा. तो वो एल्गोरिथम कहता है क्योंकि फाइन आफ्टर 3 अटेम्प्ट्स, इफ आई हैव ट्राइड 3 अटेम्प्ट्स, इफ द नल कंडीशन ट्राई करेगा कि 3 अटेम्प्ट अगर उसने कर लिया, अगर नहीं कर सका तो वो कहेगा ओके लेट मी डिलीवर इट. इट विल डिलीवर इट. वो ये तो नहीं करेगा ना वो इट विल नॉट डू दैट ना कि वो सारे को डिलीट कर देगा. ये भी वो नहीं कर सकता. तो फाइनली वो यही कर सकता है ना कि फाइंड हैज बीन डिलीवर्ड. क्योंकि टीसीपी का काम तो नहीं था ना. टीसीपी का ये काम तो नहीं था ना कि रिसिपिएंट के एंड पे इट हैज टू मेक श्योर दैट द इंटरनेट इज वर्किंग और नॉट. You get the point. This is not possible unless and until artificial intelligence is developed. तब तक ये काम नहीं हो सकते. मगर AI will be a big problem for us, I'm telling you. I mean, you will find lots of speakers who would be talking in favor of AI, but if you say me, I would be 70% against AI. I would just be 30. Sorry?
World only because of that.
Beta, AI will create a lot of problems, I'm telling you. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you one thing. मुझे एक बात बताओ. Who are hackers? They are really good programmers. Okay.
Yes.
You and they're evil genius programmers. बता दिया.
Yes.
Okay. They're evil genius programmers. So every time you have is a person creating the antivirus or whatever, you have a hacker as well. And this story will never end. ये चलता रहेगा काम. इसी तरह AI में, when you will have people who will be working for the good mankind, in as far as AI is concerned, you will have people who will be misusing it. मगर मैं आपको बता दूं इसका misuse ज़्यादा होगा. And as far as weapons are concerned, military is concerned, इसका use बहुत बुरा हो सकता है. We will discuss AI in detail, and inshallah जब आप यूनिवर्सिटी में पहुंचोगे, if you take artificial intelligence as your main course, you will learn a lot about it. You learn about fuzzy logics. You learn about so many other things. So AI obviously बहुत, मगर on the other hand, when you start to computers to make their decisions, what are you doing? You just have to feed in a very ridiculous system within an AI system that will not follow your commands and will only follow its command. That this is where the problem will begin. In fact, I'm so sorry. I was supposed to share videos with you. मैं आज शाम तक वीडियो शेयर कर रहा हूँ. इसमें एक AI की भी शेयर करूँगा. It will be about 15-20 minutes. Please उसको देखना आराम से बैठ के. It will give you a lot of. It will create interest in you as well. Okay, how interesting this all is. मगर it's very important for all of us to be aware that where are we headed to. So naive and say नहीं AI तो बहुत अच्छी चीज है. Yes, बिल्कुल अच्छी चीज है. मगर we have to be careful. What will happen and what might happen. Because there are evil people around and they will always be there. Okay. And
Sir, I had a question.
Yes, beta.
आप बात कंटिन्यू कर लें फिर.
अच्छा अब basically the way I always relate TCP and IP, मैं इन दोनों को relate किस तरह करता हूँ. मैं ये कहता हूँ कि TCP IP is just like driver and truck. मैं हमेशा इसकी example देता हूँ. And it's a very valid example. If you want to deliver something, you need is a driver who knows where it has to be delivered. That's the IP. And TCP is the truck. TCP delivers it, TCP cuts it down, and TCP does all that. IP ने तो सिर्फ ये बताना है ना कि where it has to go and where it's coming from. That's it. IP का और कोई काम नहीं है. मगर TCP IP they have to go together. TCP अकेला कुछ नहीं कर सकता. IP ने अकेले ने क्या करना है? That's why we always write TCP is a separate protocol, IP is a separate protocol. Let me tell you that. They are separate, but they have to go together. ये एक rule है. You get the point? Okay, why TCP and IP are always written together. That is the reason why they're written together. अच्छा, whatever discussion I've done till now, did you get it? किसी को कोई confusion?
Yes.
Okay. I like it when you ask questions. That's good. फिर मुझे भी feel होता है कि my students are listening and we are having a fruitful class. वरना I don't want to have a robotic class में मैं बोलता जाऊं. या बेटा बोलो आमना.
Sir, in packet switching, the data is transmitted through waves or cells?
In packet switching, बेटा अब देखो
Yes, sir.
हाँ, in packet switching it's transferred through waves, microwaves. मैं वही कह रहा हूँ ना कि अभी right now when we are having this class right now, तो microwaves के through we are my packets are being transmitted right now. Okay. और आपको अच्छा मैं हमेशा बात यहाँ से वहाँ ले जाता हूँ मगर उसका फायदा ही हमेशा होता है कि do you know why some countries and some people are reluctant about 5G technology? आपको आइडिया होगा क्यों? Why 5G? Yeah, expensive, fine. मगर there have been some issues that probably not everyone is telling us. Okay, ये मैं आपकी information के लिए बता रहा हूँ. Please don't write it down. मैं बस discuss कर रहा हूँ. 5G obviously has to use is a broad spectrum technology. By broad spectrum technology का मतलब ये है कि it should be able to transmit a lot of more data. ठीक है बिल्कुल. मगर don't you think this will come with a compromise? अच्छा आप इस बात का पता है जो microwaves होते हैं उनका नुकसान क्या है? So they do mutation of your body cells. पता है ना उस बात का? Substring. They do that, right? So
Yes, sir.
तो आपको इस बात का पता है कि अगर आपके सामने घर के सामने कोई टावर है तो they always say कि नहीं टावर घर के पास नहीं होना चाहिए because microwaves आएंगे and this can be cancer causing and all that. You know, to some extent it's not a theory, this is right. 5G का मसला ये है कि 5G में in Netherlands and all that they have this issue कि उन्होंने प्रोटेस्ट ये किया था कि 5G के जो माइक्रोवेव्स हैं उनकी इंटेंसिटी इतनी ज्यादा है कि the mutation of cells will be a lot more than 4G. They said that they have resolved the issue, but I don't know. I'll share a video with you. Have a look at the latest thing. Okay, anyway. So what we have over here is we discussed substring and okay. Then we have is what I should discuss with you is subscript and superscript. How would I explain this? I would explain this in this way. For example, what I could do is, I'll just give you a small example. I have H2O with a, I don't know, it's a valency of 2 or whatever it is. So I would write over here is A dot substring. If I want to get H, what do I type if I want to get H? Come on, please help me out. If I want to display only H, what do I do?
0.
Yes, 0 dot
1.
Substring. Does it include the one we type? Is it inclusive? Is 1 inclusive? Remember?
Yes.
No, we type 2. Remember, I said that 2 is not inclusive. I'm sorry, you are right, 1. I'm sorry, because we get 0, 1. You are right. We get 0, 1. And now what do I do? I'll type concatenate, join this with A dot come on, it should have appeared. And I would again use is substring. You know why it didn't work? Because I didn't did substring, I did sub str, and I didn't explain you as sub str. So I'm sorry, I'll take my word back. I'm not sorry, I was right, because what my statement was correct. I'll explain that afterwards. I mistakenly selected a sub str. Sub str is different, but I'm not discussing it right now, because if I discuss it, I don't want any confusion. Let's stick to substring, not sub str. So what I was saying was right. 0.2, because if I use 0.2, it will, no, it should not. Anyway, now I will use is, it should not anyway, plus A dot substring, and then we'll use is, we need is just 2. How do we get 2 now? I only want 2.
Um, 1, 1,2.
Yeah, correct. Did I close the bracket? No. Perfectly fine. Okay. You are absolutely right, because if we type 0, 1, which means it will include 0, which is H. 1 is not inclusive, so obviously 1 does not come. And you were again right when you said 1, 2, because it goes to 1, displays 1, but it does not include 2. Bilkul theek hai. But further, if I type over here is dot, and if I type, it should appear over here again. Why is it not? Dot. So dot sub basically means I'm adding a further um, method to it. It's a further method. So by adding dot dot dot, in one method I can add multiple methods by adding dot. I could even write is dot font color, dot font size, and so on and so. So by adding dot sub, it means it has converted into subscript. And if I write over here dot sup, obviously it will be converted into a superscript. Okay, that's the way sub and sub and sup basically work. So we have discussed couple of string manipulation over here, right? Let me just discuss with you okay, yeah, I have to Well, you do know that if I add over here, if I say variable a is equals to 2, and if I say variable b is equals to 3, and if I write over here is and if I write over here a plus b, obviously you know that the output will be what? The output will be an addition. You know that. And if we put this in double quotes, we convert 3 into a string, and basically what happens is it displays 23, because it seems like it's adding. It's not adding, it's just joining 2 and 3 together. So you should be aware of this fact that when you use in double quotes any numbers, they will be converted into a string as well. So always remember that. Okay. So when I said that a string, when I defined a string, and I said that when any of the 256 characters are used or are joined together, it's known as a string. String is just known not for the text. You can convert any character into a string, but you need to put it in double quotes. That's the way basically it happens to work. Now, um, let's talk about arrays. We will come to variable discussion later on. By the way, arrays. What are arrays? Well, I can define over here an array of different countries. Okay, I can write over here is and just one more. And then I can define another array. I will name it as, and this array, you might be thinking, why have I defined arrays in the square parentheses? Would someone like to answer me that? Why have I added arrays as the rule I defined, not I defined, as the rule has been defined in computing, that you use square parentheses for databases? Then why am I defining it over here? What else can I have is whatever, I don't know, like whatever. So I have defined two different arrays. Now let's talk about this, that what are variables and what are arrays? Well, when we define a variable, variable is a very small container. When I say variable a is equals to Lahore, okay, I'm just saying that variable a is equal to Lahore. A is equal to Lahore. I'm assigning is. A single equal to, whenever we use, remember that it's used as an assignment operator. We always assign things with a single equal to. Okay, so variables are just like small containers. They can just contain one single value. Then that single value could be when any of the data type, whether it's a float, it's a date, it's a number, it's a string, whatever it is. Okay, it's whatever it is. As far as arrays are concerned, arrays are containers. You can have multiple variables in one array. Arrays are very useful. You can define the weeks in a day in an array. You can do anything. You can make a program where someone says, please enter your hobbies over here one by one. So you'll keep on entering your hobbies, pressing enter. What you're doing is you will be saving all those entries within an array. So when you want to store multiple variables in a much bigger container, we call them arrays. That's the concept of arrays in programming languages. Okay, this is why our arrays, you can see they are separated through commas, and they are comma separated values. Okay, that's the way it works over here. Okay, the definition and explanation of arrays will bit differ when we do Visual Basic next week, inshallah. Uska thoda concept different hoga, but basic concept wahi rehta hai. It's the same thing. Okay, how do we manipulate arrays in over here? Obviously we will be using is document dot write. Same way वही चीजें होंगी. I will not need a lot of time to discuss all that. I'll just, the spelling has to be the same. Mistakenly, if I type wrong spelling, it is not going to work. Country dot way. I'm not discussing all of them. Concatenate, if I use concatenate, obviously kya hoga, I can join variable a with, I can join both strings, both arrays together. I can use concatenate. या मैं भी कर सकता हूँ. I can write is country plus cities. So पहले मैं आपको ये करके दिखा दूँ. Concatenate this with. So what obviously is going to happen is it's going to join both of these together. Okay. So the cities and the countries have been joined together. एक और बात जो मैं डिस्कस करना चाहिए था. If I type over here is 1, this means it is going to define me the first element. Now, what do I mean? जब इसके अंदर if I type 0, it gives me the position of the first element. We call these the elements. They are the elements of my array. That's my first element, my second, third, fourth elements. So if I type 0, it gives me the position of my first element within my array, the position of my second element in my array, and so on and so. That's how it works. So that's how we do. Okay, is this clear? Are you with me, all of you? Are you listening, right?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Okay, so this is how we do country, and we have to define the square parenthesis. Why the square parenthesis? Because हमने rule सीखा है कि square parenthesis जब भी हम use करेंगे इसका मतलब arrays होगा, और जब मैंने कहा था कि इसका मतलब is always databases, I was right. Array are databases. They can hold a lot of information. So programming languages may, if you want to temporarily store something in a larger container, you use arrays for that, and that's a database. So with the rule, with the definition, it's right. Here we go. Next we have is if I use country dot no, let me see जो important. अभी index of वाला फिर दोबारा आ गया. मतलब if I type index of for example over here is it will obviously give me 1 because 0 1. So this is important. If I want to find the numeric position of my element in an array, I can do this. Okay, I can obviously do this. I will be sending a list of all this क्योंकि मुझे पता है यूं आप किस तरह याद रखोगे. You need to have it in front of you so that you can just revise things. So I'll send you a PDF file जिसमें whatever we have discussed and whatever can come, you can revise it through there. Okay, you don't have Dreamweaver, you will not be doing. मैं तो आपको demonstrate करके दिखा रहा हूँ just to explain you. पता और आपको क्या होना चाहिए, join का पता होना चाहिए. Join is used at times if you want to just add a character in between them. Well, forget about the application. I'll give you example some other time कि क्यों उसका use कहाँ आता है. So if you want your arrays to be joined, to be separated, I would use the word separated by a special character, you can use join for that. Okay, the PDF file that I'll send you will explain each and every method, where it is being used and why is it being used. Last index of वही बात होगी कि अगर हमारी array के अंदर Belgium is appearing, let's say after 15, so it will tell me the numeric position of that Belgium which is appearing from the right hand side, just like we did in strings. Length, again, very important in arrays. We need to find out how many elements do I have in my array. This is important. If I want to find the total number of elements in my array, we use dot length, just like the way we use length in variables, where I wanted to find the number of characters defined in my string. String के अंदर हम characters find करते हैं, array के अंदर we find the number of elements. ये अपने बात याद रखनी है. So we are where? Reduce, reverse, yeah, one should know. Whatever I've written, they will be displayed in the reverse order. So if you want to reverse the order, you can do that. You can even do it, you can use even dot sort here. Oops, not in capital. it should work. It should sort it out. So it's in the descending order now. It has, so reverse करके मैं इसको sort भी कर सकता हूँ. So we can use sort over here. Sort is a method जो इसको sort कर देता है. Right? So these were the basic, not many, मगर array के यही थे. यही आपके थे सब कुछ. Okay? Till now, any question, beta? Any one of you? अभी तक कोई problem, कोई issue? Yes, beta? Anyone has a question?
No, sir.
Right. Shall we stop or should I discuss the next part, functions, today, or should I leave it in next class? What do you say? अभी तक आपको समझ आ गई है? If you want, I can discuss even the functions today and we can finish that up as well. It's totally up to you. क्योंकि I have to ask you कि आपको जितना मैंने पढ़ाया वो समझ आ गई है? Yes, all of you?
Sir, functions भी कर लेते हैं.
Very good, very good. Functions basically होते क्या हैं? We just give me, don't worry, if someone is tired, I'll not take much time. Functions are built in. Methods are built in. Functions we will be creating ourselves. In any programming language, we can create our own function that will do a particular job. मैं आपको छोटा सा function create करके दिखाया तो, and you will just get an idea मैं क्या कह रहा हूँ. Well, I'll tell you what. How do we create a function? You will see over here is that I just need to type over his function and I will name it as, let's say, call me. And my function needs to have its own code block. Every programming language will have its own code block. A code block starts with this script, okay? Scripting. So that's my beginning, that's my ending. इसके अंदर मैं क्या काम करता हूँ? कि I will simply use as an alert and oops, I just typed something wrong. And I'll type over here is hello. Right. Now, obviously what happens is कि मैं इसको display कराऊंगा तो कुछ नहीं आएगा. भाई, obviously कुछ नहीं आना चाहिए. क्योंकि there's one very important thing about functions. That functions have to be triggered. They have to be triggered when you click on a button. They can be triggered when a particular time is met. कि for example आपने कंप्यूटर ऑन किया हुआ है कि exactly जब 4 o'clock होंगे तो एक function trigger हो जाए. So we can attach it with time. We can attach it with the user's interaction. When you click over an image, when you click over a text, जो भी आप करोगे, when you move the mouse, ये सारा कुछ हो सकता है. Well, मैं इतना डिटेल वाला काम नहीं करूंगा. मैं आपको एक सिंपल चीज का एग्जांपल दे दूंगा कि over here we can actually make is a button. Input. I'll use as a button. Right. I will write value is submit. And I would say is on click, go and trigger the call me function. ठीक हो गया, and I can basically close it. तो मैं live पे तो click नहीं करता, पहले मैं view करता हूँ. I have the submit button. So what happens is when I click on this, this comes. So basically, even if I preview this, okay, I can even export this as an application as well. So जब भी आप click करोगे इसके ऊपर, you get this. Why is this happening? How is it working? मैंने user interaction बनाया है. इसमें क्या हो रहा है कि obviously out of the script tag, I had to add is a button because button comes in the part of the content layer. HTML के अंदर आता है. ठीक है. Again, working knowledge आपको आनी चाहिए. Don't get scared कि हम ये सब सारा याद कैसे करेंगे. No, working knowledge पे ध्यान दो. So input type is a button, value is submit, on click. When I click on this, what happens is call me ke aage bracket. I have done it because it's a function. So on click, go to call me. It comes over here. It says, do I have any function by the name of call me? It finds it over here. Yes, I have something function by the name of call me. फिर वो call me को call करता है. And it says, what is inside call me alert? So when I click on this, it tries to find call me and it shows me that. Okay, that's not the only way. I could even do more. I could do is कि मैं यूं नहीं करना चाहता, बल्कि let me delete this series, इसको तंग ना करे. मैं body होता है कि the body of the web page. I could say says on load of my page, please trigger it. So as soon as I click on this, it works. So this means if I preview this in the browser, it comes to be right away. खुद ही आ रहा है. क्यों आ रहा है? क्योंकि मैंने I've defined over here that when my page loads, on loading of the page, right away go and trigger the call me function. So call me is the functions are obviously very important. They can have lots of things done inside functions. This is where object-oriented programming language begins. अभी तक object-oriented programming start नहीं हुई थी, अब start हुई है, क्योंकि हमने अपने मर्जी का एक function बनाया है. I can create any function that can do any job. Lots of things can be done. It's very interesting, frankly speaking. It's a never-ending story. Because every time you see a new app coming in, a new program coming in, everyone comes up with a new idea. वो idea has to be implemented. मगर वो implement किस तरह होगा? Only if you are using an object-oriented programming language and if you can actually practically implement your idea programmingly in a programming way, then this is what object-oriented is. You get the point? ये function होते हैं. This is just a very simple example of function, मगर obviously इसमें we will be discussing more and more functions. हम VB में भी discuss करेंगे, so आपको ज़्यादा clear वहाँ भी हो जाएगा. Okay, they're quite the same thing. You'll get them in the both way. Yes or no, beta, right? अभी discussion और रहती है. अभी तो we have to discuss is things like get element by ID हमने discuss करना है. We need to discuss validation over here as well. जो कुछ syllabus में है, तो वो चीज़ हमें discuss करनी पड़ेंगी. Okay, अभी हम वहाँ तक नहीं पहुँचे हैं. I have to discuss some math के functions over here. Okay, button देखा, button use किया हुआ on click. हमने आज ही मैंने आपको करा दिया इतना, ठीक है? So you will get element by ID. I have to do it, but I can't do. लंबा time लग जाएगा, ठीक है? Get element by ID is very very important. और क्वेश्चन देख लेते हैं, उसमें क्या क्या आपको. Buttons are important. You have to know how to work with buttons. Alert मैंने करा दिया आपको. If then else. Oh yeah, I was supposed to do if then else. We are left with that as well. What are we left with? We need to discuss more. We have to discuss our loops. Okay, in loops we will discuss is the for loop, the while loop, the do while loop. We need to discuss is the switch statement. Okay, and what else? And we need to discuss is the get element by ID, right? What else? Yeah, basically मैं आपसे फिलहाल ये डिस्कस कर लूँगा. And then like I said, after we have done at least 80 to 90% of Visual Basic, फिर I will switch over someday to the advanced JavaScript. फिर मैं आपको advanced topics, we will do that afterwards. ठीक है? क्योंकि अभी अगर मैं सारा start करने हो गया, this will take a lot of time. I don't want to do that. इतना मैंने आपको करा दूंगा कि आपसे past papers हो जाए आराम से in JavaScripting. Is it clear with all of you? Any question?
No, sir.
अच्छा, आई वुड रियली अप्रिशिएट कर आप लोग इंटरेक्ट किया करो, बोला करो, कोई चीज समझना है बताया करो. अदरवाइज ऑब्वियसली अगर आपको इफ यू आर गेटिंग व्हाट आई एम टीचिंग, एब्सोल्युटली फाइन. बट you later on the questions, please do, let's interact, let's ask more questions. Okay, an interactive class is obviously much better. ठीक है. मैं आपकी अटेंडेंस ले लूँ एक सेकेंड. ऑब्वियसली इट्स अ वेरी स्मॉल क्लास. Okay, but still I have to. Attendance is attendance. So here you go. Done with this. So आपका काम क्या है? You need to download Visual Basic, install it, and please let me know. Update me कि हो गया कि नहीं हो गया. Can you do that now? मतलब do it today, do it tomorrow. But before the next class, we need to have Visual Basic installed because we're starting with that. ठीक हो गया. हमारी अब एक क्लास में हम वीबी करेंगे, एक क्लास में चैप्टर करेंगे, एक में वीबी, एक में चैप्टर. दिस इज द सीक्वेंस इट विल गो, राइट? और इंशाल्लाह इस सीक्वेंस में we'll be able to do it on time. Yes or no, all of you? Done? Right, beta? Right? Okay, beta. Update me. Okay? Okay, beta. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, sir.